day, Ka-Fatimanians. I am Prohaila Domingo.
And I'm Andrea Bungay, and welcome to Studio 7 News, your trusted source for the latest and most relevant stories brought to you by 7 Empowered Voices.
We are broadcasting from Our Lady of Fatima University, Valenzuela campus. And today is May 6, 2025. In today's special report, we will be shedding light on sustainable development.
Our team studied the facts, the voices, and the perspective that matter. So stay with us as we take you to the full story.
In 2015, the United Nations set a number of ambitious goals to be achieved in the next 15 years to make our world a better place for everyone, end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure prosperity for all. To give us more insight into how these goals are being put into action, let's go to Ms. Allegos on the ground.
Thanks, Ms. Domingo. The year the UN Sustainable Development Goals is a collection of 17 global goals by the UN's member countries and are a roadmap on how to transform our planet where everyone can live in peace, prosperity, and dignity. One organization that takes this mission to heart is Good Deeds Day. A partner site of the GoodNet, it is firmly committed itself to the UN's plan and encourages participants of the annual International Good Deeds Day to adopt one or more of the SDGs and work towards them. Joining me now is Dr. Ashley Carbonell, an expert in the field, to help us understand how these goals can truly make an impact. Dr. Carbonell, thank you for being with us. Can you tell us more about the 17 SDGs?
Thank you for inviting me here in your Studio 7 News, Ms. Allegos. Now, the Sustainable Development Goals, also known as SDGs, are the blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. They address the global challenges we face, including those related to poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, peace, and justice. So the 17 goals are end poverty, end hunger, well-being, quality education, gender equality, water and sanitation for all, affordable and sustainable energy, decent work for all, technology to benefit all, reduce inequality, save cities and communities, responsible consumption by all, stop climate change, protect the ocean, take care of the earth, live in peace, and lastly, mechanisms and partnership to reach the goals. These are all interconnected, and in order to leave no one behind, it is important that we achieve them all by 2030.
Thank you so much for that insightful explanation from Dr. Carbonell. Let me start by asking you about the 17 sustainable goals. Which one do you believe is the most achievable, and what makes you say that?
Among the 17 goals, I believe quality education is the most achievable. With the rise of digital learning platforms, global collaboration, and a strong focus on education, even in developing nations, we are seeing real progress. Education is also powerful foundation. It empowers individuals and uplifts community, making the other goals more attainable in the long run.
That's a very interesting take. On the flip side, which of the goals do you think might be the hardest to achieve? And why do you think that is?
I would say climate action remained the most challenging. While awareness has grown, consistent global cooperation and accountability are still lacking. Political interest, economic dependency on fossil fuels, and slow policy implementation hinder large-scale change. Without urgent unified efforts, this goal may remain out of reach.
I see. Now, in your opinion, which of the SDGs should the global community prioritize the most urgently, and what's the reason behind that?
No poverty should be at the forefront. Eradicating poverty affects all aspects of person's life, health, education, safety, and opportunity. When people have their basic needs met, they can contribute more meaningfully to society, which support the rest of the goals.
Now, let's bring it down to personal level. If you were just an ordinary citizen, what steps could you take to help support and achieve these goals?
As an ordinary citizen, I could support the SDGs by making mindful everyday choices, reducing waste, conserving energy, supporting local sustainable business, and staying informed. Small acts when multiplied by millions create real change. We must work together across communities, countries, and culture. That means promoting inclusivity, holding leaders accountable, volunteering when we can, and raising awareness. Global change starts with local action, and unity is the key to a sustainable future.
Once again, thank you so much for your valuable insights, Dr. Arbano. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. With that, we'll turn it back over to you. Back to you, Miss Domingo and Miss Bungay. Thank you for that, Ms. Alejo. The global economy has long been seen as the engine of progress, but over the years, cracks in that engine have become hard to ignore. From 2007 financial crisis to the rising unemployment, economic inequality, and the mounting pressure of climate change. The need for a more sustainable economic system has never been more urgent. Economists define sustainability in the term of stability, resisting extreme fluctuation, avoiding high inflation, and minimizing financial shocks. But the real question is, how do we get there? To help us understand the situation more clearly, we turn to Ms. Avena and Ms. Evangelista, who will take a look closer at the history of global economic crisis and how they shape the world we're living today. Ms. Avena and Ms. Evangelista, over to you.
When people hear the phrase sustainable economic system, it tends to sound technical, maybe even a little boring. Let's put it down in what we get is a very simple and easy. Survival rate science. You see, an economy isn't just about making money. It's about making sure the system works not just today, but 10, 20 years from now. Imagine a machine that runs too hot, too fast. Sooner or later, it breaks down. That's what happened in 2007, a global financial meltdown that exposed the fragility of a system built on cheap loans, unchecked risk, and wishful thinking. Enter economic sustainability. According to the International Monetary Fund, it means avoiding wild swings. No sudden inflation spikes, no stock market nosedives. It's about balance, predictability. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. And today, sustainability also means building economies that don't destroy the environment, that don't leave millions behind, and that don't rely on constant crisis as a business model. It's not idealism, it's a survival strategy. Now, for a little context from history, Ms. Evangelista.
Thank you, Ms. Avena. History has a habit of repeating itself, and the economy is no exception. And let's rewind, in 1929, the world faced the Great Depression. After a roaring decade of booming business, the market collapsed, leaving millions jobless and governments stunned. And it was not just a financial crash, it was a wake-up call. Then came the 1970s, another global crisis opened the door to new theories and monetarism introduced by Milton Friedman. And he claimed that controlling the supply of money could keep economies stable. For a while, it seemed to work, but the 1980s brought in a new wave, neoliberalism, Reagan in the US and Thatcher in the UK, pushed for deregulation and free markets, and profit soared, but so did inequality. And if you think we learned our lesson, think again, because the Asian financial crisis of 1997, followed by Argentina's collapse in 1999, proved that even bold reforms could lead to disaster if mishandled. And since 2007, countries have been trying, some succeeding and others struggling to find a new balance, and one that's not just about surviving the next crash, but about building something truly stable. Because in economics, as in life, history is not just a list of mistakes, it's a mirror, and it's time we look closely. Chloe Evangelista from Group 3 News Reporter, back to the studio.
Now, shifting gears to something that impacts all of us, sustainability. What exactly does it mean and why should we care? Our reporters Ms. Ramos and Ms. Alego dug deep into this and are here to share what they found. Ms. Ramos, let's start with you. What's the big picture?
When we talk about sustainability, we're really thinking about how we balance meeting needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. It goes beyond the recycling or switching of life. It's about thinking long-term how systems, whether environmental, economic, or social concern by the term of our time. And this is exactly a new conversation back in 1987 in the Brundtland report first put its into words and the definition still shapes how we understand sustainability today.
Right, and that idea really involved alongside how we approach development. At one point, people believed that just adding more resources, more labor, more capital was enough to keep these teams growing. But this hits a wall. There's actually a term for that, diminishing marginal returns. Basically, adding more doesn't always mean getting more. And that's where innovation steps in.
Exactly. In the 1950s as well as one thought modern innovation might be the only way forward. Then in 1980s, economists for Robert and Robert Lucas took that idea further with something called New Bread Theory. They argued that things like education, knowledge, and creativity, what we call endangered resources, are just important, if not more so. The physical resources and the great things is renewable. The more we invest in people, the more growth we can generate without exhausting natural resources.
And this idea of sustainability hasn't always been focused on the environment, right? Back in 1960, it was more about the social side of things, how industrialization was affecting workers and communities.
And one major turning point in the shift was the 1968 article The Tragedy of the Commons by Garrett Hardin, which showed how shared resources like ocean, forest, and air can get overused when there's no regulation. Then came the Limits the Growth by the Club of Rome, which warned about the dangers of endless economic growth on a planet with finite resources. These ideas pushed sustainability to the global stage.
Now we're seeing the real momentum. Countries are collaborating. Industries are rethinking their models, and sustainability is becoming a top priority, not just for the planet, but for the people and the prosperity too.
And the heart of it, sustainability isn't just about sacrifice. It's about innovation, equality, and creating system that works for everyone, for the long haul.
And that wraps up today's special report on sustainable development. We hope it sparked a little something in you. To think bigger, to act smarter, and to believe that change really does start with one small step.
Because real transformation doesn't just come from boardrooms or policies. It begins with people who care, people like you.
Stay curious, stay committed, and above all, stay sustainable. I am Prohyla Domingo, reminding you that every choice you make is a chance to shape a better world.
And I'm Andrea Bungay, and thank you for spending time with us here at Studio 7 News. Until next time, stay safe.